It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon. Inside a quiet neighborhood supermarket, carts rolled gently across the polished floor. Soft music played overhead. Shoppers moved casually between aisles, unaware that history was about to pause right there between shelves of rice and canned goods. Then he walked in. Bruce Lee, calm, focused, observant. His presence wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Every step measured, every glance intentional. Moments later, from the opposite aisle, another familiar energy entered the space. Jackie Chan, relaxed, light on his feet, scanning his surroundings with quiet curiosity. Their carts turned the same corner. A slight bump. Plastic touched plastic. Both men looked up at the same time. No anger, no apology, just eye contact. For a second, the supermarket noise faded into the background. Something unspoken passed between them. Not hostility, but recognition. Two different philosophies. Two legendary paths. One narrow aisle. And in that silent pause, everyone nearby felt it. This wasn't ordinary. If two masters crossed paths unexpectedly, do you think destiny would create tension or mutual respect? The air between them didn't break. It tightened. Bruce Lee didn't move first. He simply adjusted his grip on the cart. Slow, controlled, deliberate. His eyes weren't aggressive. They were analytical, measuring distance, reading posture, studying rhythm. Across from him, Jackie Chan tilted his head slightly. A faint smile appeared, not mocking, not arrogant, just aware. His stance shifted casually, almost playful. But beneath that relaxed exterior was razor-sharp alertness. Two completely different energies. Bruce, direct, efficient, explosive. Jackie, fluid, adaptive, unpredictable. A nearby shopper paused, mid-step. Another subtly turned to look. Something about the silence felt louder than noise. It wasn't a confrontation, but it wasn't nothing either. Bruce took one small step forward to move his cart aside. Jackie mirrored the motion at the exact same time. They stopped again. Not because they had to, because they wanted to. It wasn't about ego. It wasn't about proving superiority. It was instinct, two masters sensing each other's awareness. Bruce's shoulders squared slightly, posture rooted and grounded like a coiled spring. Jackie leaned lightly against his cart, appearing relaxed, yet balanced perfectly on the balls of his feet. No words exchanged, but the message was clear. I see you. And in that narrow supermarket aisle, what looked like a simple pause began to feel like a silent test of energy. A moment where speed, creativity, discipline, and instinct stood face to face without a single strike thrown. Time felt slower. Even the smallest movements seemed amplified, a shift of weight, a breath, a blink. Neither man showed hostility, but neither stepped back. In your opinion, what defines a true martial artist more, controlled precision or adaptable creativity? The silence didn't fade. It deepened. Bruce Lee felt it first, the subtle change in rhythm. The supermarket was still moving around them, yet somehow the space between two shelves felt sealed off from the rest of the world. Sounds dulled. Steps slowed. Even the air seemed heavier. Bruce exhaled slowly, grounding himself. His posture didn't scream confrontation, but it carried intention. Every muscle was relaxed, yet ready, like water held behind a dam. He wasn't thinking about winning. He was reading energy, presence, awareness. Across the aisle, Jackie Chan noticed the same shift. His playful ease didn't disappear, it transformed. The lightness remained, but now it had structure, balance, purpose. He adjusted his stance ever so slightly, placing his weight where movement could happen in any direction. This wasn't a stare down. It was a conversation without words. A box slipped from a nearby shelf and tapped the floor. The sound echoed more than it should have. For a moment, both men glanced down, then back up at each other. That tiny interruption only sharpened the moment. Bruce took a half step to the side, not advancing, not retreating, just testing space. Jackie responded instinctively, shifting with equal timing, maintaining distance without appearing defensive. Perfect alignment, perfect awareness. Those nearby felt it now. Not fear, anticipation. The kind that makes your chest tighten without knowing why. No one said anything. No one laughed. Even casual movement seemed inappropriate in the presence of something so focused. Bruce's eyes weren't hard. They were calm, curious. He wasn't challenging Jackie. He was acknowledging him, recognizing a fellow master who understood timing, balance, and restraint. Jackie's expression softened, then sharpened again. Creativity lived in his posture, but so did discipline. He wasn't there to show off. He was there, fully present. This was the moment where things could tip either way, not into violence, but into meaning. Because when two highly trained minds meet, the real exchange isn't physical. It's mental, emotional, philosophical. Each movement asked a question. How do you handle pressure? Do you force or adapt? Do you dominate or flow? Neither man rushed. Neither man backed down. They allowed the moment to stretch, just long enough for it to matter. Just long enough for everyone watching to realize this wasn't a clash of egos. It was a test of control. And in that narrow aisle, surrounded by ordinary things, something extraordinary was unfolding. Not through action, but through restraint. If you were standing there, would you expect this moment to explode into action, or resolve through mutual understanding? The aisle seemed to shrink. Every shelf, every carton, every step became part of the unspoken tension. The ordinary supermarket noise, the hum of refrigerators, the distant chatter, the clatter of carts, faded into a distant echo. It wasn't just Bruce and Jackie anymore. It was the energy between them that captured everyone's attention. Bruce Lee shifted slightly, moving with deliberate control. His feet barely made a sound on the tile floor, but every motion carried purpose. He wasn't making a move to strike, yet each step seemed to measure distance, gauge reaction, and test focus. Jackie Chan mirrored the energy in his own way. Light, fluid, unpredictable, but precise. Every lean, every tilt, every small adjustment was a signal. I see you. I understand you. Let's see what you do next. The shoppers around them began noticing subtle changes. A dropped can, a hesitant pause, the barely perceptible sway of a cart. Something was happening that words couldn't explain. No one clapped. No one cheered. Yet the tension was palpable, almost electric. Bruce extended a hand slightly, not aggressively, just shifting a carton, and Jackie responded instinctively, moving in sync. It wasn't choreographed, but it was perfectly aligned. Two minds, two philosophies, speaking through posture, timing, and rhythm. The test wasn't strength. It wasn't a challenge of who could land a punch. It was a test of energy, awareness, control, and presence. Bruce's eyes scanned Jackie, noting how he flowed, how he adapted. Jackie studied Bruce, recognizing the sharp efficiency and the explosive precision waiting quietly beneath calm. A small box wobbled on the edge of a shelf. Bruce didn't touch it. Jackie didn't touch it. Yet both adjusted their weight slightly, moving without contact, almost like a silent dance. The crowd around them held its breath. There was awe, curiosity, a hint of disbelief. Everyone could feel something extraordinary unfolding in a mundane place. It was in this moment that it became clear this wasn't about dominance. It was about acknowledgement. Two masters silently recognizing the other's skill, understanding the unspoken code that only legends share. Neither rushed. Neither acted impulsively. Every subtle shift was a conversation. The aisle wasn't just a place for groceries anymore. It was a stage, a testing ground, a moment where presence and awareness spoke louder than words or action. Do you believe true masters need to fight to prove themselves? Or is presence and awareness enough to show greatness? Everyone witnessing this would remember it forever. Not because there was a fight, but because energy, respect, and skill were visible in every move. The silent challenge had transformed the ordinary supermarket into a legendary encounter, and everyone there felt it. A moment suspended between calm, tension, and awe. The silence that had held the supermarket in its grip began to shift. Jackie Chan moved with his trademark fluidity, circling lightly around the end of an aisle, his movements playful yet precise. He tested Bruce's reaction subtly, tapping a shelf with the back of his hand, creating a tiny, harmless ripple in the space between them. Every motion was deliberate, designed to measure, to provoke, but never to harm. Martial artist responded not with haste, but with calm authority. His eyes narrowed, just slightly, reading every shift, every lean, every subtle change in Jackie's stance. He adjusted minutely, never breaking composure, never reacting out of instinct alone. It was discipline meeting adaptability, two philosophies in perfect contrast. For a moment, it felt as though time had slowed. The ordinary noises of the supermarket, the hum of the refrigerators, distant chatter, and clatter of carts, faded completely. All that remained was the invisible energy stretching between these two legends. The shoppers nearby could feel it too. They whispered among themselves, sensing something extraordinary, though unable to explain exactly what it was. Some felt tension, others awe. The aisle had transformed from a mundane setting into a stage for a silent battle of wits, focus, and energy. Then came the subtle escalation. Jackie leaned slightly forward, testing Bruce's timing, while Bruce mirrored the shift without aggression, maintaining perfect balance. It was a mental duel as much as a physical one, each waiting, observing, anticipating. This was the moment where mastery truly revealed itself, not through strikes, but through control, awareness, and presence. Neither moved too quickly, yet the air was electric. Every small gesture had weight. Every pause communicated meaning. Jackie's creative flair met Bruce's pinpoint precision, and for those watching, it was mesmerizing. The turning point wasn't a punch or a kick. It was the moment the crowd realized this wasn't a confrontation meant to end in violence. It was a demonstration of understanding, respect, and sheer mastery. And then Bruce did something subtle but profound. He shifted his stance slightly, opening the space, showing both confidence and humility. Jackie recognized the gesture instantly, responding with a slight nod and a soft smile. Both had acknowledged the other. No one had lost, no one had won. The tension dissolved, replaced with a quiet reverence that everyone present could feel. Which style speaks to you more? Bruce's precise, disciplined approach, or Jackie's adaptive, creative flow? Comment your choice below and why. This turning point marked the moment the silent showdown became legendary. It wasn't about physical victory. It was about the power of respect, awareness, and mastery. The kind of moment that would be remembered for decades, long after the mundane aisles of supermarket returned to normal. Every subtle movement, every unspoken message had conveyed one thing clearly. Greatness doesn't need to prove itself with force. It proves itself through presence, awareness, and the quiet acknowledgement of another's skill. The supermarket aisle that had once held tension now seemed suspended in a different kind of energy, one of awe, acknowledgement, and quiet respect. Martial artist and martial artist had stopped moving, each maintaining perfect posture, eyes locked yet calm. There was no need for words, no need for theatrics. The silent dialogue of masters had reached its natural conclusion. The bystanders, shoppers, clerks, and onlookers who had initially sensed tension now realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. They could feel it in the subtle shifts, the breathing, the unspoken understanding that had developed between the two icons. This wasn't about rivalry. It was about recognition. Two masters, different styles, different philosophies, yet the same level of genius, acknowledging one another. Bruce's slight nod, almost imperceptible, carried weight. Jackie responded in kind, his playful energy giving way to solemn acknowledgement. In that single movement, the crowd understood. There would be no fight, no demonstration of dominance, no humiliation, only respect. The atmosphere softened. What had felt like a charged battlefield of presence became a shared experience of inspiration. People nearby leaned forward, hearts racing, minds captivated. They weren't witnessing a clash of fists. They were witnessing a clash of energies, awareness, and mastery. And in the end, harmony prevailed. Even the ordinary objects around them, shelves, carts, boxes, seemed to shrink in significance, as if they had served only as props for this moment. Every small gesture mattered: the tilt of a head, a step sideways, a subtle shift of weight. These were the signs of true mastery, and those present couldn't look away. The turning point was now complete. Bruce and Jackie stepped back slightly, giving the crowd a clear visual that the encounter had ended. But the energy lingered in the aisle, in the hearts of those watching, and in the stories that would be told afterward. This moment would not be forgotten, not because of violence, but because of how mastery, discipline, and respect can command attention without a single strike. It was the ultimate lesson. Greatness doesn't need to prove itself through aggression. True masters communicate through presence, awareness, and subtle acknowledgement. Those who observed felt both humbled and inspired, realizing that skill, control, and respect could be more powerful than any physical display. In the quiet aftermath, the crowd began murmuring, some clapping softly, others simply nodding, absorbing the rare privilege of witnessing such a legendary moment. Bruce's calm, Jackie's creative flow, the unspoken dialogue between them. It had transformed an ordinary supermarket aisle into a stage for a timeless lesson. If you believe respect between great rivals is more powerful than conflict, type respect below. How do you think this kind of awareness could change everyday encounters? The moment ended physically, but emotionally and mentally, it trapped every witness. The silent showdown had achieved its true purpose: to inspire, to teach, and to leave everyone present forever changed. The supermarket aisle had returned to its ordinary rhythm. Shoppers resumed browsing, carts rattled across the tile, and the soft background music played once again. Yet for anyone who had been there, nothing would ever feel ordinary again. Martial artist and actor martial artist had walked away with calm nods, subtle smiles, and an unspoken agreement of mutual respect. No fists were thrown, no shouts exchanged, no dominance asserted. And yet, the encounter had left a mark, one that would ripple far beyond the walls of that small neighborhood supermarket. The people who had witnessed it firsthand began telling their friends and family, recounting the tension, the energy, the anticipation that had gripped the aisle. Some described the silent challenge with wide-eyed wonder. Others marveled at the respect between the two masters. Everyone had felt it, the raw presence, the perfect awareness, the clash of philosophies. News of the encounter spread quickly. Stories appeared in forums, blogs, and social media posts, each retelling amplifying the intensity of the moment. Headlines didn't scream violence. They highlighted respect, mastery, and mental agility. Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan share legendary silent showdown in supermarket. These words captivated audiences worldwide. The story ignited discussion in martial arts circles and pop culture communities alike. Some praised Bruce's precision and discipline. Others celebrated Jackie's creativity and adaptability. Yet almost everyone agreed. The real lesson wasn't about who would win. It was about how two masters could command respect without ever raising a hand. Fans began to recreate the moment in videos, illustrations, and even animated clips, emphasizing the subtle gestures, the timing, and the emotional tension. Every depiction captured the awe, suspense, and admiration the witnesses had felt firsthand. In forums, comments poured in, "I've never felt tension like that in a grocery store before." The respect they shared is more inspiring than any fight scene I've ever watched. This was more than a story about martial arts. It became a viral moment because it touched something universal. The way human presence, awareness, and restraint could be more powerful than any display of force. The energy of two masters, perfectly balanced, had created a moment that resonated emotionally, mentally, and even morally. And while Bruce and Jackie moved on, the world didn't forget. Discussions continued, debates flared, and admiration spread across continents. The supermarket, once ordinary, became symbolic, a place where greatness could exist quietly, subtly, and respectfully. The lesson was clear. Mastery is measured not by who strikes first, but by who maintains control, presence, and dignity under pressure. If you believe respect between great rivals is more powerful than conflict, type respect in the comments. How would you handle a tense moment like this in your own life? Share your thoughts below. The legend of the supermarket showdown became timeless, not because of spectacle, but because of mental and emotional mastery. Everyone who witnessed, heard about, or imagined the encounter carried it forward, forever trapped in their minds as a lesson in humility, respect, and the quiet power of presence. In the end, Bruce and Jackie didn't just meet. They taught the world greatness is not proven through aggression. True mastery is revealed through awareness, balance, and the courage to respect others, even in moments of tension. And for every person who heard the story, that lesson became theirs too.